Hi, I'm Matty T, and you're watching The Blues Connection. And today I'm speaking with Ron George, and Ron is the producer of The Blues Connection, as well as the proprietor of yourvacaville.com, where you can watch this show. And if you're watching it, you probably already know that now. Hi, Ron.
How you doing,
to the
Matty?
show.
Good to be here. This is actually our fourth show, but when I was editing the third one, I realized that we haven't done a show about Matty T. So
true,
for
we
those
have not.
people in the audience that really don't know anything about you, I need to ask some questions and let them know. So when did you first start playing guitar?
When I was 14 years old,
Hmm.
junior high school. I took a guitar class.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's was my first,
Yeah.
actual learning on the instrument.
So did your family play? Your dad play? And
Nobody. Well, my sister, I should take that back. My sister, my oldest sister, so she's 5 years older than I am, and she was taking a guitar class at the junior college that she was going to, and so that she didn't pursue it. She just took a semester of beginning guitar, and I kept picking up her guitar, and so I signed up. My parents wouldn't buy me a guitar. They said, "Oh, you'll just quit," and so. I hear other parents say that about their kids all the time, but sometimes the kid's not going to quit. But so I was picking up my sister's guitar, and I didn't have one, and she didn't really want me to play hers, even though she didn't play. So I signed up for guitar class, and then announced to my parents that I would need a guitar now because I had a class.
wow, yeah, you had to have a guitar.
Yeah. So that's how I got. My dad took me down to the local music store and bought me a guitar.
Cool. The show that you just did up at the Palms a couple of weeks ago, you told a story at the very beginning and did an acoustic number. It was kind of a flamenco song. That was your first song that you learned to play.
A mood for the day. A mood for a day. A mood for a day, or mood for the day. I can't remember.
A tough song for the first song to learn.
Yeah, that wasn't the first song I ever learned. I learned that song off of the record, off of my dad's stereo.
Okay.
So I would just sit there, and I didn't have a teacher really. I just had guitar class.
Yeah.
And this was a year or two later. But I had made some steps, and so I would just lift the needle, as I did with many things I've learned. So that was something I always wanted to play, and so I learned that song the best I could.
Yeah. So was you attracted to the blues right off the get-go, or?
Not really, no. I was not. I mean, not that I wouldn't have been. I just was not exposed to blues guitar, blues playing. I think it wasn't. It was, I was interested in rock and roll, and which is, just sped up blues in the 70s.
Exactly.
And
so who was your heroes in the rock and roll?
Jimi Hendrix was number one. For sure, and Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, those were probably, and Robin Trower, a lot, and then, and of course, later on. By the time I was, entering my 20s, Stevie Ray Vaughan hit the scene, and so that's when I knew that I liked blues, because Jimi Hendrix is a blues player, and. So I had a foundation in that format, but I really wasn't playing blues. I was playing really progressive rock. Really is what I was doing as a young guy, and so then when Stevie Ray Vaughan hit, that really caught my attention, because I'd kind of, this was if you remember back in the early '80s, that was the shred era of heavy metal guitar and hard rock, and guys playing just incredible numbers of notes. Yeah, I couldn't ever play that way. So I was fairly discouraged by the time I was 20, and I had decided to go off to college. My parents wanted me to go to school, so I said, okay, I guess I should do that. And I got talked into it, and persuaded. So I was ready to go off to college, and I was working on my car in the garage, and Pride and Joy came on the radio. And which is a huge song to this day, and the tone, the guitar tone and the guitar technique, and I could hear Hendrix in it immediately, but it was much more bluesy, you know, it was a Texas style blues, which I had never heard. And so, and bear in mind, there wasn't access to that kind of, you could go on YouTube now, or there's so many, you can listen to, I want to hear Texas blues, you could hear so many artists.
Right.
But then, unless it came on the radio, it was a lot harder to, you know, if somebody told you about it, you didn't know. So here I'm like, who is that? I get this. Wait a minute. What am I doing? I love this, you know. So I knew it. And so I stayed in my garage all day waiting for that song to come on again because they didn't say who it was. And so I did. I waited, and a few hours later, 3 or 4 hours later, it came on again. Yeah. And they said who it was, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I wrote it down, got in my car, went to the record shop, bought the record. Yeah. So that's where blues really, it really put me on the path.
Yeah, he was a big influence for a lot of us.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I loved his stuff. So what's your favorite guitar?
Fender Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We're sitting up here at the top of the music store, and we're covered with Fender Stratocasters everywhere you look.
Right. Yeah, I have a few.
Yeah, you do. So which one's your favorite one?
I have a 1965 or 64, depending on how you want to view it. It was built in 64. Fender Stratocaster. Yeah. It's light blue.
Okay, that's the one you played at the
I play it. That's my favorite guitar.
Yeah, great guitar.
I've had that for since 1987. It's been my main guitar.
Well, why don't we take a short break for a pause and from our sponsor, the Tweet Up Music Store, and we'll be right back.
Hi, you're watching The Blues Connection. Welcome back. And today's show is about me, Matty T.
So, Matty, tell us about your first band.
My first band. My first band was a friend of mine got a drum set, and so that's what kind of motivated me, and I wanted to play with him. So, like I mentioned before, I joined the guitar class at school, and I ended up with a guitar. And so after 6 months of that, I was pestering my father. I wanted an electric guitar, and we had seen, and I don't know if I can't remember if I had already gotten an electric guitar or not, but we had seen the Buddy Holly Story, which is a great rock and roll movie. If you ever haven't seen it, that's one of the all-time best rock and roll movies for me, anyway. And so my friend had the soundtrack, which was actually Gary Busey singing and playing the whole album, and he was really good.
Did an amazing job.
Yeah, and so Buddy Holly songs, even though that wasn't the songs of the day, we recognized them because we had heard them as kids, and so I started trying to learn those songs, and I did get my father to get me an electric guitar, and it was a Fender Stratocaster copy, and a little Fender amp, a little Champ amplifier, and that's all I had. So we went over to my friend Bill's house, and he had a drum kit, and we sat in his bedroom and put on the record, and we made horrible music to it. So that's how it started.
Yeah, I played Buddy Holly songs when they were popular on the radio.
And they're fairly simple. So if you've been working at it and learn how to play some movable chords and it's really just blues with a shuffle. It's a fairly not too hard. If you have some aptitude, you can learn it. And so I never sang though. We didn't sing. We just played along. I never sang in a band. I sing now, but I never sang for most of my playing years. I just played in the band, and there would be a singer. Right. And so but that playing with that, his name was Bill, and Lesko here, and we played together all through high school, and then out of high school, and then even after college we played in a band together. And but through high school, in junior high, we just different kids that were in the schools we played with. Kind
of like we all did. Just
yeah,
whoever was around.
Yeah, and we had I had bass player. His name's John Alderetti, and he's goes by Juan Alderetti now, and he's a famous bass player. Actually, he's been on the cover of Bass Player magazine.
Yeah.
And we learn together, and so we just different formations of group. There's a kid who plays through California here in a band called Pop Fiction. His name's Dan Meblin.
Yeah.
Danny was from our neighborhood, so it's funny out of this formation. There was
Now, where are you from? You're
Novato, California.
Novato.
Yeah. So that just in this relatively small school, a few professional musicians popped out of there. One of them famous, and two of them just working guys. And,
Surprising, Marin County, a lot of musicians.
well, there were
come out of there.
a lot of musicians out of the Bay Area, San Francisco, surrounding area. I think in Marin County,
Right.
there's a lot of, for whatever reason, a lot of famous people lived there. So you would see, depending on what city you lived in, you might see Carlos Santana or Neil Schon or Steve Miller or guys in Journey or Jefferson Starship or these people were amongst you don't see them every day, but you would see them once in a while, and they had kids too. So I actually went to school with a young lady that was one of her father was, I think he was a drummer in the Jefferson Starship.
Right.
But my point is that it was always music. There was a lot of music going around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've known you probably 15 years, and of course you were doing blues. First time I ever saw you play, I think, was downtown Fairfield, or some sort of a festival, and you were playing out in front of maybe a music store. And that's the first time. Of course, you were singing and playing the blues then. So is that about the time where that all started, where you started fronting the band as far as singing? And
Probably. No, that was probably, I've only been fronting my own band for about 10 years, or 9 years. About 9 years, I guess. Yeah, I was, right up to that point, I was playing, 4 years previous to that, I'd played with the Tawana Turner Band.
Okay.
And I didn't, I'd sing a song once in a while, but I wanted to, but I was just playing guitar.
Right.
And filling that role. And before that, it was 10 years off. So I quit playing for 10 years, and I really didn't play at all. So I just worked. I have 3 kids, but I had I had 2 kids at that point. And after I started playing, one more came. But so I hadn't played. I walked away from it, but it called me back.
Yeah. Well, you come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
The last few years you've been cooking.
Thank you.
Yeah. So very good. Yeah. So, well, tell us about the Blues Festival. I remember at your old store over there on Hume Way, you hosted what I think was one of the first blues festivals.
Well, we've done we've done a few shows, and we did a couple that we called Tweed Stock, and we had some few different bands out there, and then we did a blues festival out there, and Rod Piazza, harmonica player, very, very good player. And that was the show I think you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. His wife's an incredible piano player.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Honey, I think is her name.
Yeah. She could play
She
piano.
can play. I think she plays it, takes her shoes off and plays
Yeah,
with her toes.
everything. Yeah, she was
quite a showmanship there. Yeah. So we've done a few shows, and I've done a few different festivals in my life, and those are always fun to do. It's always fun to do multi-band shows.
Oh, yeah.
So you only have to play for a while, and then you get to see and watch other players, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. You learn, you watch somebody else, how they approach playing music, and you never know. You might see something you want to pick up yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to most of the blues festivals that you've been in, and they're always good. And, I like the one you did with the smoking amp that year. That was kind of unique. It looked like he was on fire.
I would say when Kiss meets the blues, that's fun. I like to entertain. I think there's a whole lot of, unfortunately with blues, there's a few styles of blues that it's great music. Is it exciting? Not necessarily. So, and the easiest stuff to do is the least exciting. And so what's most often that you hear is stuff that's not, you know, the most entertaining. And since it's been around for so long, you know, people, they get bored with it, let's just be honest. So that's not really the style of blues that I play. And so I also like to entertain people, and everybody stands there and plays guitar.
Right.
So, you know, I come up with
Yeah.
ideas to, you know, it actually wasn't even my idea. It was just talking with another fellow, and he, you know, I was talking about, you know, entertaining and lights and fogs and things like that, and I think he came up with the idea that, you know, you could, you know, have an amp that caught on fire or something like that. And I go, yeah, well, we can't really do that. But then we started thinking, how could we simulate that? And we have an amp that simulates that, and it is kind of funny. I mean,
It is.
I do it on occasion. Sometimes I get up on it and we don't push the button. Sometimes we do, and I've had guys. It's always the guys in the back. There's some you know, good Samaritan, means well. He'll come charging up to the stage to, you know, make sure that, you know, if anybody needs to be saved, he's going to save them. You know, you see the serious look on their face, and then they figure out it's a gag. And so
The first time it happened, though, we were sitting in the audience, and I knew it had to be a prop, but it was great because the wind was right back in. It smoked and just come up all around you. That was a great effect.
yeah, it is funny.
One thing that I noticed, because I drag, as you probably do, I drag my wife to all the blues festivals, and like you say, when you're at especially here in Macaville, where it's 3 days in a row. Usually the first night she's okay, but then by the second night she's had enough blues. But the thing that she always liked, and she told me this last one, she said, Matty's really entertaining. She likes that. And like you said, a lot of the blues players just stand still, kind of like a lot of the country music players. You know, they'll stand still, they'll just play and sing their songs. But because I'm an entertainer and you know, frontman for my shows and also play guitar, but so I learned that entertaining and how to get out and entertain. And you're one of the few that do that. I mean, you run out through the crowd, you make people want to watch you. So that's, did you just learn that on your own, or did you copy people?
I think, yeah, you know, I didn't really, well, yeah, you know, you're influenced by people you watch or people you like. And so if you watch if you really pay attention to what the stars do, right? Yeah. They entertain too. If you watch Jimi Hendrix, boy, he was playing the most amazing guitar at the same time, rolling around. I don't roll around, rolling around on the stage, lighting things off, doing crazy stuff. Right. And you know, demanding attention. I think, you know, demanding attention. That's, I guess I can't really say it any better than that. So yes, I have been the guy standing there playing guitar and wondering why, you know, I'm wallpaper, and I don't. Being wallpaper to me is not why I'm on the stage. I mean, I enjoy playing, and when there are times when I'm not doing that, in fact, most of the time, I'm actually playing guitar and thinking about playing guitar and trying to play the best that I can. Right. But that, unfortunately, isn't enough for an audience. So, you, in my opinion, you need to go out and give them something to enjoy and to remember, and so. Actually, when I'm doing that kind of silly stuff, it's probably, for sure, it's the worst playing that I'm doing of the evening, because you can't do, you know, you can't hold a beer in this hand and actually play, which
you do.
I'll do that, or you can't, you don't play your best behind your head, or you know, swinging it.
The Tweed Hut Music Store. How did that come about?
The Tweed Hut Music Store. That has been my business for about 11 years. And started it off in Sassoon City, and had a little hole in the wall, and started with 5 or 6 used amplifiers and 5 or 6 used guitars. I had lost just about everything after 9/11 and the crash of the market and all my investments, and I was left with about $8,000, and I was burned out of my job that I'd been, you know, the industry that I was in for 15 years, where we met. And so I just knew I didn't want to be in the automobile business anymore. So I bought some. I would been playing with the idea of opening a store, and I thought, well, why don't I see if I could make it fly? So, you know, I actually played in a couple different bands, and I was I quit my job, and I had bought a few amplifiers, used ones, and had 5 or 6 used guitars, 4 or 5, I don't know. And I had probably a total of 8 or 10 guitars on the wall. Half of them were mine that weren't for sale. It looked good for my little room. And it was about a 10-foot by 12-foot room. And I went, bought a cash register, and I had a computer, and I put 2 phone lines in the room, and I went to work.
Unique beginnings, huh?
Yeah, I didn't have any. Well, the funny thing, I didn't have any customers, and I didn't have anything to sell them, and I didn't know how to repair anything, and I had never really taught anybody. So I figured I was qualified. So I went into business, and I ran an ad in the paper, and I don't think I sold a guitar for the first 3 months out of the store. I mean, I had bought and sold a few things online. But I had never, no one knew I was there. And in fact, the first sign that I ever put up on the building that you could see from Highway 12 was the city. I did things right, so I went to the city and got a permit, and I had to get it approved by the planning commission. And so I took my sign, my idea, and they said, "Oh no, this isn't decorative enough. You need to, make it more decorative." So I went back and I redrew it and made it more decorative, and went back. "Oh no, it's not quite decorative enough." So went back and redid that. And finally, they approved my sign, and by making it more decorative, of course, it made the letters smaller and smaller each time. So I paid, quite a few $100s for this sign to go on the side of my building that you would see from Highway 12. And I had it installed, and I got in my car to go see what a great thing I had done, and got on the highway and saw that I couldn't read my sign. So I went and I called the sign guy, and I said, "Will you please just make a sign that says in red letters, guitars?" And I stuck it up there and waited for the city to give me a problem about it, but they never even cared. And so I got I paid my sign fee, and they left me alone.
Yeah.
But,
You'd probably be better off just to put the
well,
sign up in the
I
first
learned
place.
you better ask for forgiveness and permission with government anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how we started it, and I just bought and sold and bought and sold and started repairing things and reading books, and then I advertised for students, and next thing I carried a few students and I fixed a few things, and grew that and expanded a couple times in the same location, and then we moved it. That was 2002, and we moved here in Vacaville in 2005. So almost 3 years later, we got the store over to Vacaville, and it was over on Hume Way for 8.5 years, and then we just 2 months ago moved it to downtown Vacaville, 359 Merchant Street.
So what made you think you would succeed from that little teeny store when you went to Hume Way? Because I was at the small store, and like you said, it was like a bedroom. It was a small little room to the one on Hume Way.
It was in my mind a gamble, a big gamble, and I knew that, I figured, well, I'm going to do more business if I go there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I had no concept of how much business I would do. So I figured, being a concert, it was a good plan. I figured if I could just do what I did on the very best month I ever had, if I could do that every month, then I would at least break even.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't a very safe plan, but I was determined, and so I moved the store, and
you obviously succeeded.
I immediately started selling more items, and I was happy that I did it. And I was a one-man show. With the exception of my father, who he's 80 years old now, so he was, when I started the store, he was about 70, and he was still, still pretty spry back then, and he would come in and once a week and vacuum, and clean up with me, and just encourage me, and he's a good guy. And to this day, we have breakfast once a week, every Wednesday, and but he would come in on my days, you know, if I had to go to a show, or I would do these guitar shows. And I think I knew when I did my first guitar show, and I came back that weekend, and I had sold, oh man, half the stuff I owned, and it was, you know, it was $7,000 or $8,000 worth of sales.
No, guitar show, what is?
It was at the World Guitar Shows. They do one in Santa Fe twice a year, and they're all over the country. But I came back to my store going, I think I can sell these things. And so I started doing those for a few years. Yeah. And one show, I think I sold $14,000 worth of stuff. That was the one, like, whoa. Yeah. You know, so I was a one-man show, and I would have my friends come and watch or help, you know, and being from, you know, in the automobile business and the sales experience I had, I had no problem talking to people, you know, and it's not like trying to sell somebody a car. It's a lot nicer, friendlier thing, and it's just, you know. So I just, you know, it worked, and so I just decided, you know, it wasn't going to go that far being in the worst location in the world, block off of Main Street in Sassoon, with a homeless camp right behind me, and homeless every morning, excuse me, but you can't sleep here kind of thing. And so I knew I needed to move from there, and I did. Yeah. But the rent was cheap, and that's why I started there. Yeah.
The second store was great, but this is really nice.
Thank you.
You have the Tweed Hut Studios up top.
Yes, we are in the Tweed Hut Studios.
Yeah, they're very nice. So what's in the future for Matty T?
Oh, what's in the future? Oh, I hope to grow the store even more, and we have room to grow in this location. I hope to play some music. I hope you know, as far as hand health and personal health, being 50, you know, arthritis or what have you, inflammation, you know, I think the more there's a happy medium that keeps everything good. If I can play enough that it's not a shock when I come back to play, then that's where I need to stay. So I need to play a certain amount, but not overdo it, and enjoy it. I don't have any goals of, no illusions of grandeur. You know, it'd be nice to play some good shows, and have some, you know, some success. You know, I hope to have a CD or two before I'm done with this. Yeah. Working on that. I've been working on that for years, and I'm actually doing it. So
I'll push you towards that.
Thank you. Yeah, I need all the pushing I can get.
Some background in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm, you know, just kind of, I'm with music. I'm happy to be able to play at the, you know, whatever level it is that I'm at, and I enjoy it. I'm getting to play with fantastic musicians, and that is a lot of fun, and it's challenging, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment, and those things motivate me.
Yeah. Well, this show is going to be great because it'll give you a chance to bring on a lot of musicians that you know, and a lot of musicians.
I really enjoy it. I've learned so much about some people that I've known for a while, but knew really nothing about them, because how often do you get to sit and talk with somebody? You know, I see them in a club, or there's loud music going on, or what have you. Nice to see you. How you doing? You know, stand out front for a minute, but you don't really know until you sit down and talk with somebody.
Exactly.
Nice,
Well, Bill
nice
Watson
thing.
a couple weeks ago on the show, I mean, it was amazing listening to him talk about his background.
Right, and Bill's one of my very good friends, and I would have thought I knew more about Bill than I did. So that was really neat for me to learn about Bill.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for being on your show today, and for having me on to talk back and forth. But so this is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, this is our fourth show, and there's a whole lineup of guests to come. So
I'm working on getting some even more notable guests, and I'm hoping to get them on the show soon. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the format of talking.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, usually I'm behind the camera, and today I said, well, I got to get out here and ask Matty some questions and get some answers.
Well, it was your idea. I hope I didn't bore everybody.
No, I think it's fine. I think people need to know and want to know, you know, what are you about? Like, I didn't know that you come from Nevada. For some reason, I thought you were
not Nevada, Novato.
Novato.
Yeah.
That's right, Novato.
It's in Marin County,
Novato.
Novato.
Yeah. I thought you was from Vallejo. I don't know why.
No.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, Nevada, California is where I grew up. Born in Sacramento,
Okay.
but grew up in Nevada.
Yeah. Well, say goodbye to the folk, and we'll see them next week.
See you on the next show. Thanks for watching.